Hey everybody, this is Jim at SP500chart.com. It's about 4:30 on May 29th, 2014. We're going to take a look at the chart, see what happened today, after I remind you that the website and this video are for educational purposes only. Nothing stated at the side or in the video is intended to be used as investment advice. I control lines on charts, but you have to draw your own conclusions from your own research and make investment decisions that are suitable for your personal financial situation. I am not a licensed financial professional. I'm just a guy who draws lines on charts. So let's take a look. Okay, starting out here on a 30-minute chart, just a couple things I want to show you. We had up about 0.5% today, closed near the highs of the day. We are now at 1919 and change, which is technically significantly over that 1900. It is right on the threshold of being technically significantly over this neckline right here. I think it's probably pretty much a done deal. So we should now be looking to this line to provide support on on a sell-off. Now, just real quickly, I want to show you a couple things. We're looking at this 30-minute chart for a couple reasons. One is we have a couple of ascending lines right here that are this one doesn't line up perfectly. We got these two touches here back in April. Then we had two near touches where it didn't quite make it. These are shown by this gray line. The moral of the story is this. It sort of looks like we are reaching an area where we should expect some resistance and should expect some selling pressure. If we look at it on a 15-minute chart, again, here's that gray line. We closed right on that today. And again, that goes back to the two previous highs in May. Here on the 2nd, here on the 13th, and here we are again. I mentioned that we had broken down through this rising channel right here. It was a very narrow channel, and that was absolutely to be expected. I'm going to get rid of this top line here. There's a possibility that we could come on up and even back test this line, but I'm thinking this should probably end up being a resistance line right here if we're able to do that, if we're able to get up above this green line. I don't think we have too much further to go. But I would look at both of these as being obstacles. I don't think they're insurmountable. And you know, a lot of times when the markets or a stock are in a protracted sideways trading range like we were here, a lot of times once you break out of that, a lot of what happened before doesn't have as much to say about what's a good way to put this? A lot of times what takes place in that continuation pattern or in that consolidation, a lot of times that stuff sort of gets thrown out the window once you break out and you start up again, or you break down and start to go down. So in other words, this bottom right here, right that I'm highlighting right there, I wouldn't expect that to have any meaning whatsoever going forward. That said, we also don't know how much emphasis we should put on these two little tops here, or even on these two little tops right here. So I think the wise thing to do is to look at this and call it what it is. We are now right at breakout levels in the S&P as it relates to 1900 and as it relates to this neckline. So this now should be giving us some support. Whether or not we end up in a channel that is defined by this line or whether we see something else, I'm open to getting more data before trying to make that call. I'm going to keep these lines on the chart just in case this does make sense. But again, we were going sideways for nearly a full quarter, and just the past 3 days have broken out of that range. And just to reiterate what I said a little while ago, sometimes once you break out of that range, there's a new direction and a new level of attack that sometimes gets established that does not necessarily share a lot of common data points with what took place when you were going sideways. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. So with that said, nice day. I would be looking at potential resistance right where we ended the day. Potential resistance right up here at about right in the low 1920s tomorrow. But as we back off and look at this overall pattern, I still think we should be looking in terms of a move to get up to quite close to 2000. Get up to the high 1980s or around 1990. And that is based upon the depth of this pattern, the fact that it has that pretty classical inverted head and shoulders shape to it, and we know where our breakout is. So we're looking at about 1990. It's going to be real interesting to see how things shake out as we enter the weeks and months ahead, because a lot of people say sell in May and go away. You know, that'll be interesting to see what happens. So guys, there you have it. Nice day in the markets, and again, this should be support now, but I think we could see some resistance at one of these two lines. And if this line and this line continue to operate, you know, it's also possible that we are in what could very well end up being, I'm not saying it is yet because we need some more touches, but isn't that interesting that we do have, at least for the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks, we have kind of a wedge shape going here, and that wedge shape has enough room in it to take us up to our target area around 1990. So if we do get up there and we establish this a trek to nearly 2000 inside of a wedge, which so far, like I said, that's all we've got to go on right now. We may redefine this in the weeks coming up, but if so, then that would be really interesting to see what happens going forward, because we all know that these wedges typically do not have a good outcome when they're a rising wedge. They usually set up a significant downward move if it is a rising wedge. So be very interesting to see what happens over the next month and a half to 2 months. But guys, there you have it. Let's keep this target in mind, about 1990. Let's get a little bit more steam if we can on this move to even further solidify the S&P's legitimate move over 1900. So far, it's looking pretty good. So let's keep our fingers crossed. So there you have it, guys. That's your video for May 29th, 2014. Thanks for watching, and thanks for your support.